Hey there YouTube, Travis here. Well, the Motobecane is still in pieces. Engine spread out between two alcohol boxes there, but I do have an update. After waiting a couple weeks, I finally have this. So, on our left we have an oversized exhaust nut, so we can get a new exhaust to thread in to the cylinder. And also have, this looks like new old stock. I was really impressed with this, but it's a connecting rod kit for the Moby crank. Let me go ahead and grab that for you. So here that thing is, and if you remember from the original video, this didn't move at all, but after a soak and some evaporust, I'm able to turn it again. But obviously that big end bearing in there is probably all as grimy as this is. So I'm going to go ahead and send this off to a guy who works on crankshafts, and when I get it back, I can finally start putting the engine back together. So, once again, through the magic of video editing, here's another update over a month later. A lot of work has been done on this guy. So, the previous updates showed the crankshaft, and that was rebuilt, which was awesome. And here is the fully rebuilt motor with new seals and bearings, and it's already been attached to the bike. And guess what? It turns over fantastically. I am extremely stoked about this. But just for fun, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the old parts. Here's one of the bearings from the motor. As you can see, it is completely stuck. I can't even move it. So this thing was completely locked up. Again, for most people, this bike, based on the fact it was a complete boat anchor, it definitely would have been a parts bike, but I've been starting to think that honestly, there weren't really even that many parts worth taking off this guy. But before I show you more old parts, I just want to say that it is ready to run. I'm waiting on one thing, which is an exhaust pipe from 1977 mopeds. I'm waiting for that to ship, and then you guys will get a first start video. I'm waiting for a pipe because the original exhaust, let me find it here. Right here, so here's the original exhaust, which again has this really ugly weld repair right here, which I'm not really all that stoked about. I'm waiting on one from 77, and we'll see how it does. Those threads in the exhaust, they're pretty much gone, but I have the oversized nut that I got from France, as well as something Treats was selling. It was like Motobecane exhaust bracket for desperate times, which we might end up needing. So this motor is using the original cylinder and piston. We'll see how that goes. This thing was so locked up, we unfortunately used a metal hammer on it to get the piston out, and that messed up the piston a little bit, but after some sanding, it passes the piston drop test. Well, it passes it well enough. The parts where it actually passes through. It doesn't go completely through, but that's okay. Passes the cylinder drop test well enough, and it's got brand new rings, and I'm pretty hopeful. Again, man, this thing is certainly in sorry shape. We've spent all day today trying to get spark out of it, and it wasn't till about half an hour ago where Will and I were able to get this motor to spark, which was awesome. Let me show you what we had to do. So, two unique things here you might notice. First, we've got a brand new ignition coil on there, as well as an external condenser mounted right there. Let's show you the originals. So, here's this thing. This is the original coil. As you can see, for being exposed to the elements for so long, it's cracked, and honestly, there's enough people on Moped Army saying that if they even look like this, you might as well replace them. I don't know how much I trust this thing at all, and had a couple extra coils lying around. This one actually came with the 1977 Mopeds Hobbit CDI, so it's all nice and new. And then the external condensers right there. Here's the original condenser, which of course was on the stator plate, and it was just held on by two flathead screws. It's all original there, and took that guy out, and then we had to change the wiring a little bit. We're wired just for spark. Somebody long before me cut the horn wires, and The wiring is so old and brittle on this thing, I don't even want to think what else could be wrong with it. Bad grounds and exposed wiring and all that junk. So got it wired just for spark. The condenser, it's wired in here. Actually, we had to go to Advanced Auto, get some of these nice connectors. That normally plugs in here. That's for the kill switch. And luckily, you can wire it up this way and it works. I'd like to give a huge thank you to Rebel Moby. He's not on Moped Army these days anymore as of this recording, but going back on his posts, he has been extremely helpful, and even some of the Facebook groups about mopeds, he gives the best Motobecane advice. It is phenomenal. He even gave us fun little help in the parts store for getting this condenser. We went to Advanced Auto, and the way they do their computer system there, they kind of want to know what year and make and model of car you want the part for, and you go in and ask for a 6-volt condenser, and the guy just stares at you. But the part number was there. We got in and out real quick. It was nice. And after fiddling with the wiring, after cleaning the ignition points twice, and finding out they were closing a little too much and opening them up a little bit, finally got it to spark. So I am really excited about this. And some of you with a keen eye might have seen behind the original wires for the lights, we have a brand spanking new Delorto 1412. We're not going to use the Gertner, first off, because it looks like this. Again, just like everything else on the bike, completely seized up and gunked up and awful. But the other reason is that it doesn't really have any tunability. So got this wired in. It's a lever choke type. And come up here, give this guy a twist. It works. Yeah, this thing works. Ugh. If you remember, this thing was pretty gross looking when I got it, but I got most of the old grip off, and we'll have some new ones coming in here in a little bit. So sorry for the silence. This thing has just been a long, extremely laborious labor of love, which people told me working on a French bike is going to be, but it is coming along. I still have to do the rear rim, that have to take that apart and change out the tube. We have to do cabling. The only good cable on this guy ended up being the decomp cable, which we were able to get freed up enough to work, so that's kind of cool. It's a brand new throttle cable. I need to get brake cables. There's no longer a choke cable, obviously, because it's using a Delorto carb now with the lever. Speedo cable is shot. Actually, I can show you the cables. I kept them all. But yeah, these were completely seized up and cracked, and I had to take the angle grinder to a couple of them to get them off. It was not particularly pretty. It's also going to get new motor mounts because these are completely gone, and letting the motor move. It's not easy to see in the camera there, but motor's actually sitting at an angle. That rubber in there is so far gone, so those are going to get done up as well. Okay, there, YouTube. Well, hope you enjoyed this update. As soon as I get that exhaust and get it attached, I'll grab the lawnmower gas tank, we'll slap it on the back there, and see if we have a runner. I'm just really stoked about this because, again, this is not only was it a complete boat anchor, but it's a French boat anchor, and I think a lot of people would have passed on it, but I'm real curious to see if we made something out of it. So again, I hope you enjoyed this update. Until next time.